The second we get real, she acts like this. We were doing a show.
Stand-up show.
Stand-up show.
In Bushwick. At a bar called Our Wicked Lady.
Yeah.
And we were both booked on the lineup, and I always say there were more comedians on the lineup than there were people in the audience. And I just remember watching your set. It was athletic. Like, it was athletic comedy. And I just thought, like, this guy has star quality. And then I remember I did my set, and I was leaving to go to another show, and on my way out, you were like...
I was like, I'm obsessed with her.
Really
and that was the first time I had seen her stand up. And I brought a straight guy, and he did the classic straight guy thing where he turned and goes, she's actually pretty funny. Like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I know. We were together, weren't we? Yeah.
Well, I went after you, but we went for Ride Live. That must be the last time you were there, right?
Last time I was there was Ride Live at, where did we play? Bush Hall?
Shepherd's
Bush? In
Bush Hall, you're right, yeah.
Whoa, that came to me.
That was crazy.
I'm on it today.
Whoa.
Yeah. We did 4 shows at Bush Hall, and it was the most unbelievable crowds. It was our first true heckler, and she is now known as the London Heckler. And so it was kind of an iconic visit. I love London. I studied abroad in London. We've talked about this.
Wow, and I dated a British guy, a British actor.
So you studied abroad.
So I did study abroad in many ways, and last time I was in London, I went right before it was like a little bit before I booked the role. It was for my birthday last year, and so we went to a pub. Speaking your language, and then
Sunday roast.
A little Sunday roast, and we had a house party after, and I had the time of my life. I do love London.
We're coming soon. Don't worry. The time I found out we were making the show, apparently all my life experiences are with Mary Beth Barone. I was in Boston. I was in my boyfriend's Honda Civic. We were driving to a sound check in Boston at a show we were doing with Mary Beth for the Ride Tour. And I got the call, and I knew it was serious because it was every single person at Amazon was on this call. And I was like, oh, they're either gonna tell me it's done, or I feel like they would have maybe just called. I'm like, a Zoom feels like this is it. And they told me, and I was in complete shock, and I felt so lucky. And I got to do a show that night with Mary Beth, and it was like the happiness was like, I've never felt like that before. I was so excited.
The time I found out you were making the show was I was actually watching Eat, Pray, Love at the hotel in Boston because I'd never seen it before, and I just felt like as a white woman, like that was like it was a cultural blind spot that I had to rectify that. So I paused Eat, Pray, Love. I actually squealed, like I was so happy. I jumped out of bed. I was jumping around the room, and that was a really special moment. And then to get to do a show that night and really get like all that energy out, it was like pure adrenaline. It was so fun.
We were so out of pocket at that show.
Yeah. You're gonna be shocked to hear that I was with Benito. The time I found out I booked the show, we were in the East Village at a restaurant called Gemma, which I had gotten drunk with coworkers at many times in a previous life when I worked in an office. I had an email job.
Yeah.
So the restaurant really meant a lot to me, and so we were eating outside, and I just remember Benny, he looked at his phone and he dropped it and he goes, Mary Beth's been approved. And then we got up, we started crying, and we hugged, and Benny took a selfie where he's like screaming, and it's the back of my brown hair at the time. And it was a really long process to get to that point, and it was a week before we were leaving to film.
Yeah.
So it was like, it felt like I was high. It was not that I've ever done drugs.
Well, of course not.
But it was a truly beautiful
The next one
experience.
is the time you were high as hell.
The time you were so high. I have one for that.
We had to do auditions and chem reads, but someone once called Mary Beth the Nepo friend, which I kind of love, but she fully earned this role. She had to audition, and we did chem reads, which, you know.
I think we blew them away.
I think they were like, no, it's here.
There's a scene where Grace and Peter, her boyfriend, are in bed in the morning, and there's someone banging on the door, and then Peter gets up butt naked. So the actor Adam DeMarco is wearing a modesty garment, is what they call it in the biz. And he had to get up and answer the door, and he gets this thing that he's really excited about, which I won't spoil, but he was literally jumping up and down, screaming and like improvising. It's Christmas morning.
It's yellow.
Yellow. I was breaking. I could not stop laughing. I was like, I think I'm ruining every single take. And then we had to go over and have this moment between us where he's like wearing a mask and I'm doing like fake shooting noises. And for some reason, we just got the giggles and like we could not get through the scene. And then I think they saved it in the edit, but I was like, this is so unprofessional. I never break.
No, I know, and I always break. So I would say my hardest one was Matt and Bowen when they were going back and forth on the couch. I was so happy that I got to get up in my little harness and run around because I really, it was insane. Like I love that scene so much. I loved the script. Like it was so, I had it in my head so vividly and it was like everything and beyond. So I just wasn't prepared for Matt to go, like when he did that, I was like, I can't, like, yeah, and then Bowen goes, get out of our townhouse, and I was not prepped. So, yeah, that scene really,
also, when I had to wear the Alice Cullen costume, which Benny insisted on, there's video of him seeing me for the first time, and you fell over.
I couldn't, it was so late at night, and we just filmed the scene, and she comes over and she goes, don't give a gay guy a show. I need to speak to the gay man in charge. And I laughed. You looked so much like her. You looked so much, and you had colored contacts in, which
I couldn't see anything.
If you see your best friend with colored contacts, it's like it's seeing them naked. It's so bizarre. I'm like, actually, I've seen you naked so much, but it's like, oh my god. The second I saw the orange irises, I was like, we have magic here.
It was magic, and I'm so glad you pushed me creatively.
Thank you for trusting me.
Always.
The first person I came out to was to my friend Nora, who inspired the character of Carmen. We were at a Domino's, and I told her that I thought I was in love with a man. And she was like, amazing, should we get 7 sticks? Like, it was so, like, that's so cool. Yeah, it was so...
It's crazy.
What?
Sorry, keep going. Wait, no, keep going. Sorry.
I start crying, you're just absolutely laughing.
I'm just like, oh my god.
The times get to see who you really are. The second we get real, she acts like this. Yeah, and that was the first person I came out to, and it was like, I had never felt a relief like that. Oh my god. But I also had like so many more people to come out to, and then it turned into a total nightmare.
The time that something went most wrong on stage, I'd always wanted those stories about like things going wrong in the theatre, but every play I'd done, nothing had ever really gone that wrong, and then I did Cabaret. There were a lot of people passing out. So there were a lot in the audience. There were a lot of show stops. I think because people have so much champagne at that show, the whole like immersive Kit Kat Club thing, people kind of get too into, like they actually think it's a club, so that everyone gets a little bit rowdy. The lights go up and it's because someone in the audience has passed out drunk. We found someone's tooth in the theatre one time. Like, I loved it, and it felt like the Kit Kat Club. It really did feel like we were in the Kit Kat Club, but there was always stuff like that going on in that theatre. I don't know what, there's some Scorpio energy in that joint, I'm telling you, that's Scorpionic.